Now that also leads me to element 2. Element 2 for me is elimination and detoxification. Now I obviously eliminated something there. Now I didn't learn about detoxification until much later on. I didn't know about these things or anything like that. But I knew it wasn't a question for me of cutting down. It wasn't a question for me of replacing it with something else. For me, it was elimination. Now the reason why I add elimination onto detoxification is because I used to work in Nourish, in a health food shop, just over on Wicklow Street. And I used to get a lot of people coming in on Saturday morning, and they're looking for the detox formula, because they were out drinking all night last night. And I used to work there on a Sunday too, and the same thing would happen Sunday morning. They'd come running, where's your detox stuff? Where's that? I need the detox. And I was thinking to myself, that's not detoxing. You mean you went out drinking last night, now you want to detox today so you can go out drinking again tonight? I realized that people were looking for compensation, tiny compensations. In fact, token efforts. It was a token effort towards this detoxification. It's become very trendy. Over the years, it's become extremely trendy. Detox is everywhere. I'd say maybe 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have seen detox all over the place the way you see it now. It's very trendy. So people are going on detox weekends, and people are going on detox retreats, but they're going right back into a toxic lifestyle. So one of the things that I learned along the way is that true detoxification comes from eliminating toxins from your life. Now mind you, I'm giving you a presentation on optimal wellness, and I'm giving you different elements that you may want to consider. This isn't a 1, 2, 3 step. This may not resonate with you. But when someone is talking about optimal wellness, optimally well, people don't come see me for disease. I don't help people with their disease. I help people who want to be healthy, who are self-motivated in their health. I think there's a big misconception around the idea of coaching. I think a lot of people don't realize that when you go to someone for coaching, you have to be ready to play the game. A lot of people expect the coach to come up with everything. The coach to come up with all the push, the solutions. And whenever I hear that, I always think to myself, imagine a football coach dealing with a player like that. Like, coach, I don't know if I want to kick the ball. I don't know, I might get hit in the face. Can I just stand on the sidelines? Well, yeah, you can get in the bleachers. No, I want to be part of the team. But I don't really want to. A coach would say, you got the wrong game here. I don't think you're cut out for this. And I think a lot of coaches out there get wrapped up in the clients that they see, get wrapped up in this idea of needing to convince them that this is the right game for them. If you're going to do something, you're going to get involved in something, then you do it with your own momentum. And then when you get stuck on something, there's a lot of people here who are doing a lot of different things in life. And if you think of different areas where you want to improve on that, I may be able to offer some advice. Balaj may be able to offer some advice. Maybe there's some other coaches or therapists in here that may be able to offer something that you are particularly not seeing. That's what a coach does even to his own player. Kid comes and says, Coach, what am I doing wrong? He says, well, I think you're angling yourself wrong, or you're approaching the goal too soon, because he's observing him already in action. Real coaching should be a coach dealing with people who are already in action. So I'm presenting you elements in different areas that if you are not getting the results that you thought you should be getting, then I'm suggesting with the insights that I'm presenting to you tonight that this is perhaps something that you may have not looked at. So if you're looking at detoxification and you're not getting the results that you think you should have, then I would ask you to consider elimination. Find ways to get these toxic things out of your life, because I personally do not believe in moderation. I believe in accumulation. Things are cumulative. You take a toxic substance in over time, it accumulates, it strengthens, and then it tips. If you make one racist statement per week, by the end of the year, are you a racist? Or can you say, no, moderation. I just once a week, the occasional, when I'm drunk in a bar and I see a foreigner. at the end of the year, are you a racist? So I don't believe in this moderate. At the end of the year, you may have a lot of people very angry with you. So if you're doing something that you believe is moderately okay, in my world, a cup of coffee in the morning for me is not a good idea, even though it's just 1 in the morning, things like that. So if I'm finding with people that they're trying to do certain things, then I have to look into all these different areas and say, what about this thing here? What about trying to eliminate this thing here? Because this is the thing that may be creating the problem for you. Now, in that situation, I didn't have any advice to ask. And for a lot of years, I struggled with the idea of, what the hell happened to me? How did I go from here to here? 1999, December 16th, was a different story when we started out. Because you were all looking at me like, boy, we think Balaj got the wrong guy up there. He's got problems. But 10 years ago, that's what it was like for me. And now I'm here. So sometimes I've struggled with the idea of how do I find the little pieces in there to say, because people obviously would ask the question, what happened? What did you do? What's your formula? How did you get? I don't know. I really don't know. I still go back and I look, what happened? What was it? Was it really King Dragon? Or was it some spirit guy who whispered something in there? I don't know. Did I have a dream? I don't remember. I don't know what happened to spark this stuff off and then create this journey of unfolding these different things. Because the next thing to happen, and everyone, I mean, you might have your own philosophies to understand this. I don't fully understand this yet. The next thing you know, I realized I need to do more. I can't just spend, because I still had some time left to do in prison. I still had to be there. I still had to find ways to be in a positive environment myself. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do now? I quit smoking, now what? What do I do now? Well, I'm flipping through the radio. I had a little tiny radio on my cell, and I come across a community radio station. It's commercial free. I didn't even know these things existed. I didn't even know what a community radio station was. So I'm listening, and there's this guy who's talking about nutrition. I was like, this sounds interesting. This sounds positive. He sounds positive. I'll listen. So I'm listening, not understanding a lot. I didn't know what a cruciferous vegetable was. I didn't know what the hell antioxidants were. But he's talking. He sounds like he knows his stuff. And I'm listening because the people out there, they're not telling me much. They're not saying much. So I'm listening. And then there was other shows on, too, about physics, which I knew nothing about world cultures. And so this little radio became like a classroom. And this is another very important thing that I want people to try to appreciate. Look at the resources that you have in your life. I mean, that's what I did even when I made the decision of the quitting the smoking the cigarettes. I looked at my circumstances and found something and tried to make the best of it. That little radio, for me, became a classroom. And I stayed glued to it, hour after hour after hour, and day after day. My vocabulary wasn't great. I wasn't articulate like I am now. I spoke street language. I spoke slang. I spoke guttural. So I had to find a dictionary. And every time I heard a word that I didn't understand, I tried to spell it as best I could. And I would spend my day flipping through the dictionary, looking up these words, writing definition, the same stuff you have to do in school that I didn't do in school when I was younger. Find a definition and then put it in a sentence. How would you use this word? So I would find ways to use these different words, and then it made it easier the next day to listen to the presenters talk about even more things. Chakras, Tai Chi, nutrition. And in this element of elimination, this one particular guy, who's the nutritionist, his name is Gary Nolan, he ended up impacting my life very much from that point on. Every time he would mention something that was negative, that you should try to get rid of, I would try to do it. So maybe there was an article that he would read off, latest study from University of such and such that sugar suppresses your immune system for 3 hours and leaves you susceptible to infection. Yeah, I would hear all these kind of scientific reports on different aspects of health. So I would think, all right, sugar, I gotta get sugar out. And for me, again, This was something exciting because it gave me an opportunity to look at my circumstances, to see what it is that I could do and what it is that I couldn't do, and to try to get really creative with my situation, with what I have. Now in prison, cigarettes are currency. That's why the guy next door, it's like opening up your wallet and saying, would you like my money? That's what it was like for the guy next door saying, you better not be joking, and you're not going to get this back tomorrow. Cigarettes are currency. That's why when people smoke, people have their addiction, and we don't have money. So we create a different currency. It's human nature. This is how we barter and we do things. So even though I didn't smoke, I could still buy cigarettes. And I would buy the cigarettes and I would use them for currency. And the person who would deliver the food 3 times a day, they have a little slot and somebody comes with a styrofoam tray and they put your food in and they walk away. He's a prisoner. The guards don't come around and do, because I won't get into why, because we do some awful things to them when they come by the door. So they usually send prisoners around to do cleaning, everything, and prisoners do it because they want to get out of the cell. It's like, do you want to stay in the cell for 48 hours, or would you like to work in the kitchen? I'll work in the kitchen, and get to eat and everything like that. But the prisoner would come by, and I would slide him some cigarettes. And I'd say, could you bring me some honey from the kitchen? Could you bring me some extra fruit on my tray? So I had to find, even with my criminal mentality, even with the tricks of this environment, I had to find clever and creative ways. This is why I live a life today in which I don't allow myself to make too many excuses. Because eventually when the prisoners found out what I was doing, you know what they told me? You can't do that. You can't be positive in here. Oh, that sounds great, but I might do that when I go home. And I used to always think to myself, if I don't do it here, I'm never going to do it. If I find excuses within this environment, then I'll find excuses within any environment. On the flip side of that, if I find a way to pull this off here, if I can really do this here, then I can do it anywhere. It wouldn't matter where I ended up in life, I'd be able to do it. So I would find creative ways and clever ways. And again, when you make these decisions and you start to walk towards certain things in your life, you find really amazing things, interesting things that you wouldn't have noticed before start to open up. Word got around that I was on this vegetarian thing, that I wasn't eating meat anymore, and that I would exchange my food, the things that I didn't eat, the cakes, cookies, the meat, the waffles in the morning, I would exchange that for fruit. And much to my surprise, now the unit is set up in a kind of like a horseshoe shape, squared off. The showers are towards the end. Only one person at a time for the shower. They open the door, person walks around, goes inside the shower, they lock the door. He's finished, they bang on the door, open the door, come back around. So it's a long process, because you have a lot of people to do. But at a certain point, people were walking around and they would open my slot and they would put an apple in there and close it. And the next person come around and put an orange in there and close it. People were throwing their fruit away. When the guy would come around for the trash, they would have their fruit to throw it away. And he would say, the guy over there, he's a vegetarian now. I think he might like those. So word got, next thing you know, I have a room full of all these apples and oranges every day. And they wouldn't ask anything in return because they were going to throw it away. They were going to throw it away anyway. I still would give what I could of the things that I didn't eat. I didn't pass my judgments or my decisions on to them and say, I'm going to throw my cookies away because they're bad. No, you want them, you can have them. It's your choice, it's your decision. I choose not to eat them. That's another very important lesson. Don't judge people based on your standards. Don't make other people feel uncomfortable because of the decisions that you've made in your life. If you're a vegetarian, respect the meat eater. If you don't smoke, respect people who do smoke. Ask them to be polite around you. If they're going to blow smoke in your face, you say, could you please blow that somewhere else, or something like that. But don't judge people based on your standards, because you're not going to make a lot of friends like that. You're going to distance your friends. I spent a good period of time where I'd be at the house of friends, and they would, they would pick up a cookie, and then they would look over at me. I'd be like, well, I didn't say anything. It's just a cookie, but I didn't say anything. They know my judgment, because I speak about it so passionately, and I've learned to tone that down. Again, keep your private life personal. And especially when it's things that someone else may be struggling with. You know? Don't cheer so loudly that you quit smoking if your friend is struggling with quitting. Have some compassion in it and understanding. And I've learned this as well from all the times that I slipped and fell back off. This wasn't 10 years ago and then suddenly everything changed and it stayed that way. I had challenges along the way where I found myself slipping back into these things, and I had to understand why. And when I came out of it, I learned more about what it's like to be in that dark place. Because you can accomplish something, then you can get really woo-woo about it and you know, look down on other people who don't pull it off. That doesn't help you and it doesn't help the other person. So much to my surprise, I started getting a lot of help from the people around me. And I was fortunate because that really boosted me up again. And then I would continue to hear things. I remember there was a show where a woman was explaining Tai Chi. And because this is radio, you have to try to be as descriptive as you possibly can. That's the beauty of radio. There's not this laziness of seeing things, although it's beautiful to see things visually. You're really challenged when you have to work. So she's describing this Tai Chi thing, and I'm trying to get a picture in my head. So I grab my toilet paper, and we have little tricks in prison that we do for, it's some extremely creative people in prison. But you take your toilet paper, and you wet one end of it, and you stick it to the top of the door, and it dries until you can hang and block your window. So I'd block my window, and I'd be in there going this kind of... I just try to, you know, I took the description of what she said, and it must be something like this, I don't know. So I just tried doing this Tai Chi stuff, and it felt nice, you know, it felt nice, because it's either that or you're just sitting on your bed waiting for the next meal. So it's, you know, nice to be moving around, getting some nice movement going on. So I would try everything that was being suggested. He was trying to get a little, don't worry, we got it on video. So I was trying everything that I possibly could, everything that was possibly being suggested, because I was really appreciating what was being offered. I would be the ideal client for a coach, because these people were on the radio coaching me. They were giving me stuff for free, and I was appreciating the hell out of that because I didn't have anywhere else to go. And nowadays I think we take a lot of things for granted because we're bombarded with information and we don't do anything with it. I was in an environment where I really needed all this information that is being presented to us from all over the place nowadays. We got this stuff all around us. I had this tiny little radio, and that's it. And I was really grateful and appreciative that these people, mind you, they were volunteers. They didn't get paid to do this. They would come on and this is a community radio station, and we have community radio stations here. These people volunteer their time to dedicate themselves to giving information that they feel that the community may value. And I really valued that. So everything they said, I would try to do it. Meditation, Tai Chi, anything, chanting, mantras, just grab the pillow, everything. I would try everything that they would mention because I wanted to do this positive living thing. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to rid myself of this way of life that we were supposed to have accepted as the only way.